received a copy of her community report and said if there's any questions on that report, she'd be happy to answer them when we can all meet in person.
Okay. What report is that?
For the library, correct.
Oh. I didn't get it.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
No. Okay, so then we'll move on to highway, Randy.
Alright, hello everybody. As some of you may have noticed today, or maybe not, I brought the entire crew back in today. 4 10-hour days this week. We tried doing just everybody doing 2 days last week. The workload is getting tremendous. Trying to get Perkins Clearing open and some of the other roads. Still trying to clear up the sand on the roads and debris and such from the storm. We had a lot of chipping of brush. And then we started a entourage of driveway culverts, new installations since we put those in. We did one last week, we did one today. So I felt it was necessary to bring everybody back in. They are social distancing. I have put some in trucks, as in dump trucks. Right now they're finishing up taking the plows off and getting them buttoned up, or unbuttoned for the winter. The backhoe is a very busy item right now, fixing culverts, cross culverts and such in the roads. We did one on Tamarack Road, one on Golf Course Road. Then also we're raking roads. Gilmantown was raked today, and I graded the first 2 miles of Perkins Clearing today, and they started raking that this afternoon. So I assume that we're going to be able to continue this way. We have masks that we ordered and bought. The county I think the county nursing has been supplying some, but we bought 6 boxes of 50 of just the face masks. So we have them for the guys.
Did they come, Randy?
Yes, they came this weekend.
Oh.
Somehow they appeared on my desk.
50 in a box, Randy.
50 in a box. They're just a white cloth face mask.
Oh, good.
You know, over the years.
And those are disposable, right, Randy?
So,
Disposable?
what's that? I can't hear.
Oh, can you?
She asked if they're disposable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that with the rubber gloves, for the garbage men and stuff, I'm pretty confident that we're following as many guidelines as we could possibly do with that. So as I said, most of the trucks are getting unbuttoned. I'm leaving one because this weekend we're supposed to have snow. Just to make everybody happy. Snow and flowers. We fixed the pathways. I think Don sent me a thank you and such email.
Yes, I just want to say they did a really nice job.
Good. We had today went down to, I sent Andy down to finalize what we need for materials for the library steps. So we'll be starting that, I believe, on Wednesday. Since the library is still closed, it would be the perfect time to do such. Live timber is, well, back to the library. We also painted the lines and put the bumpers out for everybody. So tomorrow, if it's not raining, we're going to paint another coat on the white lines. And also up to the highway department or municipal office. on buildings, the springs came undone from the garage door on the truck wash station, or whatever, and the door came crashing down. There was no damage to the door or anybody else, but I had to call the overhead door company in again, so I used a different one, Colonial overhead door out of Johnstown. Hopefully they won't be as bad as Glens Falls with the pricing. We've had some bad situations with them, so I'm still searching for a better, more cost-effective way of working on these garage doors.
Randy, can I ask a question? That was put in by the Amish when they built the pole barn. Do they do repairs too?
I do not know that, so I can't answer that.
It seems like they might be cheaper.
Yep.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to give them a call, see. Yeah, the overhead door, or Colonial overhead door was there today. But I would definitely give them a call, see if they don't do such work like this, or repair work.
Could I ask a question, Randy?
Sure.
Well, I have a problem with the guys coming back
Okay.
and working. My concern though is the way this weather's been. If we have multiple rainy days, will you have enough to keep them busy where they can social distance and
Yes.
keep their masks on and?
Well, most of it, we have, I'll lay it out. Malcolm will be in the garage, rain or shine. Ed and Andy will be in two of the dump trucks. Dan will probably be in the grader. One will be in the tractor raking. One will be in the backhoe, digging or such. So that leaves two guys with garbage and recycling. So that's 3 of the 4 days there. And that leaves one other person in a pickup truck, helping one or the other. So that's the entire crew.
No, that's good, because that was my concern, was because this weather has been so up and down.
Correct. And I have, like I said, I have oodles of work to do. I went to Perkins Clearing today alone. We're going to have to barricade off the middle section of it, of hardwood, because it would be a month for us to get up over that hill and do all the work that needs to be done, just on that one 2-mile section. So there's no way I can open up Perkins Clearing in a relative time. And I have to deal with FEMA, which that's my next, I'll move into that
Anything else cutting out?
later.
Yeah.
FEMA is another subject. Back to, we all there?
It looks like Chris is frozen up, but can you hear us, Chris?
Now I can.
Oh, there you are.
I missed everything Randy said about who was going to be doing what.
You want me to repeat?
No, that's okay.
Okay. Basically, everybody will be on a piece of equipment except for one person will be in a pickup truck. So, that's the way, and I'm going to keep them in those pieces of equipment. So, that way they can clean it at the end of the day, and that way it'll be set for the next day. And there won't be any germs from one person to another in the seats and steering wheels and so on. Perkins Clearing, the middle section of it, I'm gonna I'm gonna put piles of gravel at the bottom of the hardwood and at the other end, just south of Jessup River Bridge. So that we know, when I do open it, there will be no through traffic. It's gonna be new to people, but they're gonna have to, if they wanna go to the north end, they're gonna have to go into the north end. If they wanna go to the south end, they're gonna have to go into the south end. I'll go now. FEMA changed some situations, how they go about things because of the COVID. they normally would be right now coming up to us and doing what they're calling on-site inspections, which means I have 12 roads that I have laid out for projects that some need culverts, some need, they're gonna change the culvert to, mitigate it up to a small bridge. A lot of it is paving projects. Hamilton Lake Road has paving on it, Page Street has paving on it. So all these small projects, they normally come in and assess the situation, take all the measurements, so on and so forth, what was there for a base of the road, and blah, 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 blah. They send it out to a company, of course FEMA does it down south, and they come up with a quote-unquote estimate. As long as, once we put in our estimate, then we have to sit there and arbitrate whose numbers and come up with on each of these projects, come up with a happy price. Then they write a check to us. When the project's done, whether it's above that or lower than that, you don't get to change. It's not like if you go over budget, you can ask for more money. It is set. So the whole process of figuring out what you need is very,
Yeah.
very important. Now, what I started this as, they changed. Now they want to do virtual inspections. So they want me to do the measuring, everything under camera. They want me to do videos of the water flowing, videos of how much water is going through a culvert, measure the culvert for them, take pictures of everything you can possibly imagine, widths, depths, everything else in a quote-unquote virtual world. Then they're going to have someone analyze all this and start from there, which is we Perkins Clearing, 7 miles of road that needs gravel. There isn't a hill in it that doesn't need a lot of gravel, and so on and so forth. The time frame of this is ridiculous. My answer to that from the state person that's helping us was, well, just go ahead and fix the road and we'll figure out how to get FEMA to pay for it. That in my mind is not gonna work.
Randy, excuse me, when I was briefly there today, you mentioned, also having to have GPS coordinates.
Correct.
Yeah.
They want GPS coordinates of every site.
Right, which without, some of the spots without, benefit of, cell phone, service, that's gonna be difficult.
Well, it's gonna be very difficult to match it up with pictures and such. We did the GPSing of every culvert, every so on and so forth with our handheld GPS unit. But from what I'm gathering, what they're telling me, the detailed virtual inspection, they're gonna want start of a ditch to the end of a washout. I mean, very detailed, how long is this? Proof it's that long, because who knows who's holding the other end of the tape in a picture. So it's I disagree with this whole process. One person in a pickup truck with a mask would solve
People
it.
are convinced that you will not see any FEMA live inspectors. Because
Correct. They and the state inspectors are bound to their houses. So they are not, who I've been dealing with the state, George and Tony and Monique from FEMA have not left their house. They normally would come up and help me with all this paperwork and such, and we've had oodles and oodles of emails back and forth just trying to get last year's work done. And as of today, it was filed with them complete. So hopefully these next 12 projects, which some of them are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, are going to somehow get smoother, because it's totally ridiculous what they're proposing to me today right after lunch. This was just, I don't see how it's gonna happen this year by the time they get all this done. And then, once we get the virtual inspection done, then they still send it out to their company to assess it and give us a number. And then we start litigating back and forth.
We'll be retired.
It's, I'll be in touch with you, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a very productive process. I believe our government has outdone themselves on this one. But,
Well,
so,
they're emergency management people. It's surprising to me that with hurricanes and floods and this and that, that they couldn't perhaps put on some gloves and a mask and for this. And this is we're having an emergency of sorts now, but this is for a Halloween storm. At some point, if state workers for roads, towns, counties are out on these roads, I would think that people who assist in these projects would have to be on site.
you would think that they would. Like I said, they sprung this on to me today, so I'm not keen on it, and a lot of gray areas.
We will have to try all precincts to help with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's gonna complain and so they'll change.
Right. I mean, Town of Lake Pleasant's not the only one that's gonna have an issue with this, I am sure.
Right.
Well, most of upstate New York was hit in that same storm. I would say that most of Congressional District 21 was hit in that same storm. It seems, at least for the federal side, the state side has always been the bigger part for us as far as on-site. But Albany and Congresswoman Stefanik's office, they got to hear from us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what I mentioned in there, I did finalize the last year's work, the emergency work, that is done. Sent in, processed, waiting for approval. So that's, good news there. We're on to the cleanup work, and then inviting down to projects after that. Bike paths. Allison Buckley from DEC's been in touch with me asking for a PDF version of our logo we have for our trucks. They are making a kiosk, or making several kiosks for the bike paths. And there's going to be a corner emblem or something for the town of Lake Pleasant. So I have sent to me today was a PDF version of our door decals that are on our trucks, which is same as on our website, but they couldn't use one at takeoff because the resolution wasn't good enough. They being DEC. So I got them the original PDF form of that, so I'll be sending that to them in the morning. The bike path signs have been ordered through Casey Morrison. He said there is a very large lag on printing time, so he couldn't give me a time frame in which they'd be done. But I ordered 6 new of that, Betsy.
That's a good start. Yes.
Correct. It's the bike trail sign when it was established, the old speculator, like Town of Lake Pleasant, all that, the speculator loop sign, I should say.
Okay.
I think that's it.
So it's done.
Randy, just one follow-up on what Nancy was asking before about the crew.
Yep.
Are you assigning times for the fellas to take their breaks and lunch for separation, or how's that working?
Well, the way it worked today is that most of them were out beyond. Malcolm goes home for lunch. I was thinking, and I didn't do it today, but probably will do it tomorrow, assign 11 o'clock, 11:30, and 12 o'clock as a time frame.
Good.
You gotta figure it.
And that'll
Back, I mean, but more than one person's gonna be in that break room, with the length of that table, as long as they,
right.
keep
What they did before this was 3 of them went in there And they just staggered the opposite sides, across that table, so.
Just keep their distance and keep watching.
Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that's it, Randy?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, Randy, you started to say something about lime timber before?
Oh, Lime Timber has asked me when the gates were gonna open. They called me last Friday. And I told them that it would be closer to the end of the month. And they were happy about that for once this year because they say their interior roads are nowhere near ready. And they have a lot of work to do on the other roads of their properties so they can log where they're not in a hurry to get into these roads. So they're not pushing for us to, hurry up and get
Okay,
these roads.
I just wanted to hear whether it wasn't something important.
No, it's just the fact that once they're not pushing us to open up the roads to get log trucks in there, which is
The people who would be pushing you now are really the camp owners, leaseholders.
Yep.
Yes,
fishermen, hikers, so on and so forth.
right.
I just got an email this afternoon from one of them. They're trying to get in there, so.
Is DEC pushing it all?
No, they already went in and I gave them permission with their side-by-side. They went in and went up to Spruce Lake and checked out, what they had to up there. So they're not, so far they're not. They understand that I typically open it up for Memorial Day weekend and that's my goal, so.
Right,
This year it's just, I know it's not going to be up over the mountain.
that's right.
There's going to be no through traffic, so.
For the entire season.
Well, no, until I get FEMA straightened out.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to go ahead and start this project in hopes that they can pay me. So I was in there with Lenny today, and two of the culverts that I wanted him to inspect, according to state regulations, we have to put 8-foot squash culverts in. Well, that's a mighty expensive culvert, and I know why it's not there. It's a lot of money. So if I have to do it right, then I have to have FEMA approve it. So.
We're going
Okay.
together.
Okay, moving on, I'm just gonna give an update for the VTI program and then we'll get to our local law hearing. 2/3 to 3/4 of the project is complete. The cold weather has delayed development of the larvae, which helped because the many rainy days have limited the treatment opportunities. They are just still treating the streams earlier than last year and finding lots of larvae in some streams, but then less in others, and they're still working at it. That's from ViWix. So Vi, Bill, and
Mark Curry.
Mark Creary are working on that. We never did find someone else to help them this year. We will be looking next year for 2, so everybody keep that in mind. We'll need 2 new people. So, what time is it? It's 7:25. Nancy, can you give a quick update on the AUD, or?
I've been working with Linda minimally these past couple of weeks. She's been having computer issues, and I sent her a bunch of information. I figured it would be cheaper doing it that way than to be on the phone and trying to work it out together. So I've sent her some information by email. She sent me back something changes to make. Right now we're down to 1 fund with a couple of issues, whether they're major issues or one thing that can just be fixed, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But she's really nice to work with, and I'm trying to keep that to a minimum right now.
Okay,
Hope we'll be done soon.
okay, great, okay.
And this is the auditing firm's person?
Yes, her name is Linda Smith with BST.
Yes. Okay, so, what do we have? We still have a couple minutes. Okay, so I'll just mention the county doing the payroll and reports. I have been in contact with both the chairman of the board and the county treasurer, Beth Hunt, and we are moving forward with the county doing payroll and reports. With Beth's office coming back to work full staff now, hopefully this is going to be completed sooner than later. We've been trying for this since March, but with the COVID and everybody being sent home and not at work, made it difficult, so we're hoping to move forward, Nancy, get this off your plate as soon as they'll allow it. So, okay, so, as long as we've done that, I guess we can probably go ahead, and open up the public hearing for local law number 2. I'm going to allow 2 people in the building at a time with masks. Debbie will read the local law, they can, go ahead and say what they want, and then they'll leave and we'll let the next ones in. Okay?
So this is the town of Lake, can you hear me as I'm muted?
No, can't hear you.
Two folks. Good, how are you?
How about now?
Okay.
So the town of Lake Pleasant has introduced a local law number 2 dated March 16, 2020, under resolution number 41. Town employee victim of a serious medical condition and leaving office short-staffed. Whereas a town employee has been the victim of a serious medical condition leaving our municipal offices short-staffed. Whereas the town board has determined that the unique experience of a former employee makes him or her the proper person to fill this immediate position regardless of his or her current elected position. Be it resolved with the full knowledge of these duties and the general view that those positions may be seen as incompatible, it is the best interest of the town of Lake Pleasant to so appoint the former employee effective Friday, March 13, 2020. Adopted by the following vote: A, Supervisor Betsy Bain, Councilperson Christine Meixner, Don Baronius, Neil McGovern, Nancy Sice abstained, nays none.
Okay, would you state your name and,
Sure, I'm Steve Whiting.
okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, thanks. Thanks for all your work. I have some questions trying to figure out, first of all, is this proposed law, is it a law? Has it been passed?
Yes, we voted on this back on the March 16th meeting, which
Okay.
Debbie just read.
Yeah, I heard that. I thought that was a resolution to propose a law.
For the proposal of local law too.
It's a resolution for the proposed law.
Yes,
Yes,
So the law hasn't been voted on yet.
the law will have to be sent into the Secretary of State's office.
It'll be sent in, but has it been voted on as law? Have we seen the final?
I just read the final
That's the final
one.
draft?
Yes,
So this is actually the comment period for
Yes.
that?
yes, correct.
Okay. Well, I have an objection to it. I don't think I want to see that go through.
okay.
I want to know, have you, what other options have been done as far as covering your position?
Well,
What I'm
we
trying to,
contacted the county.
right,
Well, actually, let me start from the beginning. We were in a jam.
right,
We didn't have time to try to set up to hire somebody. So we went through the board, we contacted the Association of Towns,
okay,
to get their legal advice. And their advice was it's an emergency situation,
right,
that, to go ahead and pass a local law, work on that. And we could go ahead and hire Nancy Seitz, who was past account clerk, senior principal account clerk, who had retired, she could come in.
right.
But in the meantime, we had to put this local law together, and we had to file the steps to do it, and tonight is the hearing for it.
Okay, so the proposal, well, understanding that you needed a local law, which is to rehire somebody who's already been retired, is that correct?
No, it was just to replace Kathy temporarily. Someone, till Kathy could come back.
Neil wants to
Wait,
step in.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Neil.
The question that Bart was not that she was retired and
Because she's
coming back. That's done all the time. People do, county, town, state, happens all the time. This was because of the perceived incompatibility
Right.
of a council person coming back. It had nothing to do with the fact that she had been retired from.
Okay, I understand that. And the whole purpose of not only requiring a law, but the issue of incompatibility is that all other aspects, all other avenues have been taken trying to find something that would eliminate that. Is that correct? Because that is a last-ditch effort to rehire somebody, especially somebody who's hired and holding a position which may be seen as incompatible. So really, there should be all efforts, like it should be posted on the website, there should be employment agencies looked at, there should be maybe past people who have interviewed for the job or wanted the job here.
Well, it's a civil service position, so
Or-
there would have to be an existing list, civil
Right.
service.
It would have to be an existing list?
Yeah, if Beth has an existing list up at the county, we would have to go
You
up with
couldn't
that.
have somebody
but-
take the civil service exam to do that. I understand your idea of expediency.
No, because this is only temporary.
Okay, how long is it? Because it's not in the law.
Well, she has 12 weeks
Is
under
it
the
written
Family
in the
Medical
law that
Leave
way?
Act. Under the Family Medical Leave Act, she has 12 weeks to be out of work,
Okay,
okay? She may be coming back. She may be
Okay.
coming back before the county takes over. We
okay.
were hoping the county would take over in March, but with the COVID, it didn't work out, so we had to wait.
So can the county take over now?
I'm waiting, I just announced, I spoke with Bill Farber again and Beth this weekend, and it is going to happen, yes, but Beth's office is just coming back full-time this week.
So is there the need for this local law then?
At this point, yes, because we don't know when the county will be willing to take it over.
Okay, but yet we already have somebody who has been hired and is working, even though,
Temporarily. She doesn't want this, she wanted to be done in March, at the end of March,
I
when the
understand
county
that.
was supposed to take over.
but we still have the incompatibility issue, and she is in the position now. And there's really no authorization because the proposed law hasn't been accepted in the law yet. Is that correct?
I guess you could say.
So
it's
you're kind of
correct.
hiring somebody and going around afterwards trying to make it okay by getting a law passed. The law hasn't passed yet, it's not in effect, but yet she's already working there.
Because we put her in temporarily, that's what they told us to
But in
do.
order to do that, you need to pass a law, my understanding.
What they told us was to go ahead and do the process that we were doing because it was an emergency situation, but to then set up immediately the local law, which we did, and we're trying to follow the process of the guidelines to do the local law. So this is the last step.
Okay. I
That's
question the way
Excuse
that
me,
you're doing
go ahead,
it.
Neil.
Let's put it that way.
Go ahead, Neil.
The first one is, none of the rest of us know who this person is.
Yeah.
Or can we at least hear their name?
Oh, that was
Whiting?
Mr. Whiting that's talking. I'm sorry, that was Mr. Whiting?
Stephen Whiting.
Stephen Whiting?
I'm sorry.
Once again, associated to pass a resolution. Was to pass a resolution. In the emergency that we had.
Right.
The reason for a local law was to codify it going forward, should this happen again. So we did exactly as we spoke with civil service, with the county, and with the association of towns. This was best town, the best outcome for the town, and in doing so, we were able to cover what now has been a couple of months. They seem like this is irrelevant point, but that's not what we were counseled to do. It's just once in a while, a permissive referendum to pass a local law.
Okay, I understand the resolution was passed, I get that. And I understand your need to pass a local law, I understand that as well. But it seems you have to do those in order before you can,
No.
you don't.
We did exactly what they told us to do in the order.
Well, I question what they are telling you to do then, because it seems very inaccurate to me. The other issue I have,
Was adequate. We were asked to do this so that we could codify this sort of move should it never have to happen again.
so that doesn't make sense. So you're passing this law so it doesn't happen again. But I'm talking about the pass. It's already been done, you're telling me, but you're codifying it so it doesn't happen again. I don't think it should be happening now.
To address it, should it happen again.
I didn't catch that.
He said to address it if it happens again. Well, we
Okay, so,
appreciate-
well, let me go back a little further.
I kind of think we're kind of getting off the beaten path here. You're basically here just to give us your opinion, what you think, and we're just we have to move on. We can't keep going over the same thing.
Could I ask a question? I'm curious what he would do in a situation where there's employees payroll due and it's a very limited talent base, to put it that way, in our town. county to work the software that we have, and just curious how someone else would deal with it in that situation.
Well, I'm wondering, has anybody else been solicited? When did the issue arise where you realized that this person wasn't gonna be able to fulfill her position?
2 days after her accident.
Which was?
It was, we got word from her on Friday and she was due back Monday.
And that was a
In what,
payroll.
in February or?
That was the end of February,
March.
beginning of March.
March 13th.
March 13th was her day back.
Because as of the March 2nd minutes, there was no mention about a need for this.
No, she was out on vacation.
She was hurt in a motorcycle accident.
No,
March 2nd.
She was supposed to come back the 16th to do payroll. She was in the accident on the 13th.
The 13th of,
March.
okay.
And you know, 5 minutes is really the limit for speaking,
Yeah.
so if you want to wrap it up,
It is.
so the mayor can speak.
Understandable. I'm on record of being against this proposed law.
Okay.
I don't think it's really legal to be doing it the way it is.
Well,
The issues of the way that the law has come out, the solicitation, the way that the notice of hearing came out, which leads to the other thing is the website. The website's woefully
we
inaccurate.
have to move on. This is
Well,
for
I'm
the
telling
local
you
law.
that you
This
need
isn't
to
for
let
the
us know
website.
as citizens in the proper way so we can come out and see these things going on in a proper time frame.
The,
So they need
was
to.
on the website.
the public hearing was in the legal section of the newspaper as directed by how we're supposed to do that.
Okay, can we move on now? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Steve.
I'm sorry?
It's Jeanette, I said, nice meeting you.
Thank you.
It's Jeanette's turn.
Jeanette Barrett, speculator, New York. I've got 2 issues with this law. One is mentioned that it's an incompatibility issue, and I understand the law is to address the compatibility issue. It has to be specific and not something that's long-standing. So I disagree with what Councilman McGovern has said in that regard. And second of all, I understand that Councilperson Sipes would be acting as an independent contractor. And if that is the case, that is conflict of interest under Article 18 of the municipal law. So that you cannot contract a sitting council member to do this type of work. So there are other opportunities, there are plenty of people around that do KVS, very usable system. Contacting the company, you can provide some consultants that could come in that regard and not have this conflict of interest that has presented itself in this matter. So I strongly object.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Anybody else?
Where am I standing? Right here?
You can stand right there. You can just say your name and,
Yep, this is James Swanson. I'm a resident of Lake Pleasant. And I'm just here to comment. I'm not asking for any feedback or anything. I'm just looking to make my comments relative to the local law 2 that was just recently passed. And I understand that it's already been passed. I just want to say from an overall perspective, from just a public perspective, it just appears that that it's just inappropriate. And the reason why I say it looks inappropriate is because I heard earlier from, I think it was Neil, had said something about, well, governments do this, past employees do this, state employees get rehired back and everything else like that. And every time that happens, in every case that I've been involved in previously in my professional career, it's always been looked at inappropriately. In other words, people look at it and say, it's not the right thing to do. We should be doing something different. And I would challenge the town board to also do that in this particular case. I'd also like to say that there are 3 other entities that utilize the county to be able to do these things. And if it's an appropriate time now, that we should be looking at that instead of what we're currently doing. I think also it's from a shared services perspective. We're possibly losing points in this because we're not doing it and not using shared services as we should. And as your all responsibility as people on the town board, you should be looking at ways that we can decrease costs to the taxpayers. And this is an appropriate area in which you should be doing that. Also, in this time of the pandemic that we're under, there's lots of people that are stressed out over the fact that they're not being paid. So the fact that we may have been late a week or two on payroll, we got people that are still trying to get unemployment benefits out of this town. And they can't get it because the state's not responding. So I don't think this is any different situation in regards to that. I think lastly that, I think everybody said, hey, we've done our homework on this, we've talked to the right people, we've done everything that we should do in this. That I just firmly believe that there's more that can be done, and I think that we've missed the mark so far. So those are my comments, thank you.
I just want to ask one question, Jim. Are you aware that we contacted the county the first week this happened? And
I'm aware
discussed,
that you guys contacted them, and I'm aware that they weren't able to do it because of the pandemic, and I understand that. However, I think we're at a point now where I think we should be readdressing that and looking at that long term.
I have been.
Okay.
I have been, but
Yeah.
Bill said, and I just talked to him again Sunday, they cannot take it on until after Beth's office gets back to work full-time, which is this week, so he and Beth were supposed to talk
And I
today.
think from this point
We
moving
have-
forward, I think we should still continue to pursue that.
We
Thank
are,
you.
we definitely are.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Is that it?
What was his last remark, Betsy?
That she should be pursuing it further, even though
The county.
the county, even though Betsy said that they are doing it at this point in time.
There seems to be, I don't know. So, okay, so,
I'm having trouble because I keep getting a message that says unreliable internet connection and then it cuts out.
oh, really? Okay, so,
What somebody said, but.
that's okay. Is there any other old business? Anybody think of anything?
We have other people on here that I don't know who they are. I don't know if Debbie. Chromebook
There's other people who are listening to the audio.
Neil's breaking up.
Right?
I guess, yeah. Also, something that was mentioned is that Kathy still has this position.
Yes,
That, this is all a temporary situation.
Right, I mean, this, it appears that folks are speaking past each other and then have an idea, and they are holding on to that idea irrespective of the changing times here, including, as you said, the temporary nature. We're doing what's right. We certainly got the right person to do it for the short term, and the office is doing exactly the right thing in pursuing counties or those areas we can trust them to do well. Those folks are entitled to their opinion.
absolutely. Okay, so let's move on. Town historian. Out of respect for the Weaver family, we'll be discussing a replacement at the next meeting. We thought we would hold it off until then. So then we have resolutions. We have two resolutions here, guys.
Take it slow.
Bear with me because these are windy. Resolution of the Town Board of the Town of Lake Pleasant, May 4th, 2020. State Environmental Quality Review Act, which is called CEQA. Determination of Environmental Significance Negative Declaration. Whereas New York RSA2 Cellular Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, proposes to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility pursuant to the lease agreement with the Town of Lake Pleasant pertaining to property located 2679 State Route 8, Town of Lake Pleasant, County of Hamilton, State of New York, tax map number 113013-1-2, and whereas the facility consists of certain space at the property significant for the installation, operation, and maintenance of Verizon Wireless telecommunications equipment and associated appurtenances, as more particularly shown on the lease exhibit attached to the lease exhibit A. And whereas representatives of Verizon Wireless previously met with the town officials to discuss the project and the lease, and whereas the town board of the town of Lake Pleasant is fully familiar with the property and the surrounding area, and whereas the lease and project is an unlisted action under CEQA, and the board is only involved agency and therefore the lead agency, and whereas the board has reviewed the project, the lease, and all other materials submitted in connection therewith, now therefore it be resolved by the board that, based upon the board's thought and careful review of the project, the lease, and all materials submitted in connection therewith, the board hereby determines that the project and the lease will not result in any significant environmental impacts, and hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to CEQA. Reasons supporting the negative declaration: air, water, noise, waste, erosion, drainage, site disturbance effects. The project will not create any adverse change in the existing air quality, water quality, or noise levels, nor in solid waste production, nor political potential for erosion, nor promote flooding or drainage problems. The project will produce minimal, if any, disturbances of soil and vegetation with minimal storm runoff. Agricultural, archaeologically, history, natural or cultural, this is awful with this repeat here. Resource, community, or neighborhood character, the project will not adversely affect agricultural, historical, nature, or cultural resources. The project is a public utility which must be located as and where necessary to provide essential wireless telecommunications service. Although the facility of this nature will be visible, its overall visibility will be minimized to a maximum extent possible. Vegetation, fish, wildlife, significant habitats, threatened or endangered species. No plant or animal life will be adversely affected by the project. Community plans, use of the land, or natural resources. The project is in keeping with the official community plans and goals and will have no adverse effects on land use or the use of natural resources by or in the community. Growth, subsequent development, etc. The project will not induce any significant or adverse growth or subsequent development. Long-term, short-term, cumulative, and other effects. The project will not have any significant adverse long-term, short-term, cumulative, or other environmental effects. Critical environment area. The project will not have an impact on any critical environment area as designed in 6 NYCRR Division 617.14. Public health and safety. The project will have no adverse impacts on the public health. The board recognizes that the project will enable Verizon Wireless to provide reliable wireless telecommunications service to the town, enabling individuals, businesses, and emergency service providers access to this essential service. The project will promote the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the town by providing access to a modern, reliable system of wireless telecommunications service. Further, the board finds that none of the criteria for determining significance set forth in 617.7C1I12-12 would be implicated as a result of this project. Notice of this determination of non-significance shall be filed to the extent required by the applicable regulations under CEQA and may be determined advisable by the board. So, not done yet. In witness whereof, this resolution was properly adopted by the board at its regularly scheduled meeting, the date of which is listed, which is May 4th, 2020. And I'm asking tomorrow if everybody could come in and sign this so that Debbie can notarize it. And we'll get that taken care
Do
of.
we have to have a signature on it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I've done right here is where it says Supervisor Bain voting, I say yes.
Yes. Yes.
And then I put all the council people's names underneath
Yes.
that, okay?
Okay.
So I need to call for that, is that, yes? Everybody, nays, anybody?
So-
I think you're looking for a second.
We're looking, okay.
I'll second.
Okay, so Neil first, Nancy second. Randy?
Yes.
I have this agreement of expenditure of highway monies. Did you forget to mention that or no?
Oh,
From Tracy.
I completely forgot about that.
You wanna quick mention that?
Let's take care of the resolution first.
Yeah. Do the resolution first?
Okay, yes, okay, I'm sorry, okay.
You've got a motion and a second.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Is there any discussion?
This is to adopt the seeker resolution?
Yes.
Yes.
The one just read.
Chris, you want me to send you a copy of it?
Oh, she has it.
Oh, she has it, okay.
They have it, yep, okay. So no discussion? Nope, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so carried. So Randy, do you wanna mention this now?
Okay,
Here's this one.
so, I believe, what's the number on that, Betsy? 844. What Chris brought up last, go ahead,
284 agreement.
284.
284.
I have that filled out, I had Tracy already sign it. The way I did it, was a very broad spectrum of the money out of that was allocated in the budget, put those numbers in, including culvert, stone, and paving resources. And then I put down for what roads, I put down all the town roads. So that we could spend that money where deemed necessary as long as it's on town roads. That is the broad spectrum I could possibly come up with, so that when, depending on how FEMA comes forward with money fast or slow, I had that money to use. So it is filled out, it's signed by myself and Tracy L. And I need all the board members to stop in and sign it, while one gets filed with Debbie and one copy gets filed, so it's 2 pages. One gets with Debbie and one goes with Tracy Eldridge at County. Anybody have any questions about why I did what, as far as what roads I'm spending what
Is there an
money?
explanation of that for my minutes?
We're very clever with that.
I can just keep
About
clever
Randy's?
than what we're.
Well, that's what Okay, so we're all set with that? You're welcome, you're welcome. I just want to mention, I did contact Tracy Eldridge today because there seems to be a lot of concerns over the transfer station hours. So I didn't have this earlier, so it's not on the agenda. But he just wants everybody to remember that there's an emergency order for the COVID-19, it's still in place. He understands people would like it to be open longer, the transfer station. And he said that the transfers tend to be in place of a place of congregating, and I want to make sure that the employees there are as safe as possible. I plan on assessing things weekly. I expect that we will open the valve slowly, so to speak. I am hoping by late this month or early June it'll be close or back to normal as possible. So everybody just wants to know that. So as folks are asking, you have an answer on that. So next is the resolution for the Verizon lease. This one is much shorter, so you won't fall asleep. Okay, resolution of the Town of Lake Pleasant Town Board, May 4th, 2020. Approval of lease for wireless telecommunications facility on town property. Whereas New York RSA2 Cellular Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, proposes to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility on property to be leased from the Town of Lake Pleasant pursuant to the certain lease agreement between the town and Verizon Wireless and located at 2679 State Route 8, Town of Lake Pleasant, County of Hamilton, State of New York, tax map number 113.013-1-2. And whereas the facility consists of certain space at the property sufficient for the installation, operation, and maintenance of Verizon Wireless telecommunications equipment and associated appurtenances, as more particularly shown on the lease exhibit attached at the lease as Exhibit A. And whereas in connection with the lease, the town board of the Town of Lake Pleasant has conducted a full and comprehensive single-agency review of potentially adverse environmental impacts from the project pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, which is CEQA we just did, and on May 4th, 2020 duly issued a negative declaration pursuant thereto, and whereas the board has reviewed the project, the lease, and all other materials submitted in connection therewith, and whereas the board met on May 4th, 2020 to consider the lease, and whereas resolutions approving the lease by the town board are subject to a permissive referendum in accordance with Article 7 of the New York State Town Law. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby authorizes town supervisor to enter into a lease with Verizon Wireless as well as an associated utility easements to allow Verizon Wireless to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility and related infrastructure on the property contingent upon passage of the permissive referendum period required under law without a petition for the permissive referendum for an initial term of 5 years with up to 4 5-year renewal terms at an annual rate of $2,400 and such other terms and conditions as agreed upon by the town and Verizon Wireless. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is authorized and directed to publish notice of such permissive referendum within 10 days from the date hereof, in accordance with Article 7 of the New York State Town Law. In witness of whereof, this resolution was properly adopted by the board at its regularly scheduled meeting, the date of which is listed herein, Town of Lake Pleasant Town Board, May 4th, 2020. So I'm looking to pass a resolution. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll take care of that. This will also be on the table, so there'll be 3 things tomorrow. If you guys could stop by and sign them, that would be great, and hopefully it's all gone and we don't have to deal with it anymore. Okay. So next, Debbie will be advertising it in the newspaper, and it will also be in her shadow box. LPSA report and resolution. I had the pleasure of speaking with Lynn Van Duff, the president, this past week. Very nice conversation. I have been asked to sit on the Lake Pleasant Sacandaga board as supervisor, which I solely accepted. They're looking for approval for the Lake Pleasant budget line item for the Lake Stewards. Another thing, LPSA takes responsibility for interviewing, placing for town approval, managing the stewards, and scheduling for 2020 summer. Stewards will fill out required paperwork and submit time cards to Lake Pleasant. Their intention is to hire retired Lake Pleasant personnel. They are asking for the highway department to get the decon station ready, and when they are ready for it, Lynn will give us final direction from AWI regarding staffing and start time for the decon unit, and they will let us know so it can be taken over to Route 30 site. So I'm looking for a resolution to approve the $5,000 that we pay for salaries for the Lake Stewards.
So moved.
Neil's first. A second?
Second.
Don
If I
second?
remember right from last year, this is basically authorizing the transfer of the money to Lake Pleasant Sacandaga Association, and then they will administer it.
Well, actually, the resolution that we had last, here, I gotta get it. Actually, the resolution that we passed last year was worded this way, Chris, and I think the way we should have it, approve it this way, is that the board approves the hiring of lake stewards done by the LPSA and supervised by them. Payment made from the $5,000 budget line, and LPSA will reimburse if payment goes over that amount for the year 2020. That's how we worded it last year, but with a different year. Is that?
Several years, we've done the paying, Chris. Out of that pot and other reimbursements, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
The town does the payroll and gets reimbursed by LPSA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so we do issue the paycheck.
Yes, and anything over $5,000, they will reimburse us.
Yeah, I think benefits are included with that, along with the pay. And insurances, yes.
It works out that they end up expending at least as much as we have.
Oh, I know they spend more than we do.
Oh, yeah.
We just locked it in at that price some years back, and they've shouldered the rest of the burden.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna skip over the biking trails because Randy already reported on that. Do we have any committee reports? Nobody? Okay, so we're looking for a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so how about if we start with roundtable? Neil?
Just two quick things. One is I know Randy's got a whole mess of stuff and probably we need a budget for this, but at some point, we're gonna have to look at the pavement out in front of the hall. I know we've gotta kick this can down the road a little bit, but
Pavement or sidewalks?
sidewalk, the sidewalk.
Okay, we do have, that is in my plans.
It is, I thought so. I wasn't sure if it made it through the budget. I
Yeah.
realize it's down the road, it's just,
Killing my high heels.
we're looking for trouble at some point.
Yep.
And the other one, Randy, you can maybe answer me this, because I forgot to do it today. Someone had asked me, over the weekend, whether or not the burn pit gate was open, and my memory was it was. So I
Yes.
said yes to them, but that, you know that to be true, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been open for about 2 weeks now.
Right, that plays into a lot of this concerns, that's about the landfill, or the transfer
Transfer
station.
station.
Folks are doing cleanups, and I know we got some cleanup days for them as well, but it helps a lot if folks, even with small little wagons, can bring things down there and offload.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's all I got.
Okay. Nancy?
Nothing.
Don?
Thanks. I think, number one, I think with this transfer station, one of the reasons that you said Tracy wanted to keep the hours limited is because people will use it as a place of congregation. I don't think that's a reason to keep it closed, because the personnel there can order, tell people to move on. They can set up certain travel lanes and actually do things like they're doing now on a limited basis. I've had a lot of people that I've seen and listened to that would like to see it open full-time, because this is the time of year when people are up here cleaning their camps and throwing stuff out. And some people cannot be there on those limited days that they're open. And with limited times, I think the opportunity to congregate more is there, because everybody has to be there at a certain time frame instead of
Scattered.
the regular open hours. So I just wanted to get my views on that. And I think with this COVID-19, with our governor closing everything, this is the time of year when our businesses have to start ratcheting up to make their money. We have 3-4 months here that make or break businesses. We've gone through a very slow winter because of the weather, and now everybody, according to the edicts of the governor, the businesses are not allowed to open. One being campsites. Campsites are a big draw for people, and therefore it's a big moneymaker in the tourism industry. And I think we should push the governor or the state, maybe as a letter from the town or whatever, where the state could open the campsites on a limited basis. If they don't want to open their restrooms or what, limited camping to self-enclosed camping trailers and stuff, which I would say probably 75% of people use anyway. That way they can keep their showers or bathrooms closed and just open the camping sites. It's a good way to social distance. So, like I said, I think we should kind of, encourage our government to allow us to open as safely as soon as possible. Because if we don't get these 3-4 months in coming up, we could lose a lot of businesses. That's it.
Thank you. Chris?
Did we close the public hearing yet? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Sorry, I'll,
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chris.
Second.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so carried. Okay, Chris,
So now the public hearing is
closed.
closed, and we have to vote if we're going to adopt local law number 2 or not.
okay, is everyone in favor of adopting local law number 2 for 2020?
I will move it, it needs a motion.
Okay,
I'll second that, Neil, for purposes of discussion.
okay. Okay, any discussion?
Now, I would just, I'm sorry, but I have, real reservations about this. I don't see why it can't be done as a resolution, and I don't like the effort to make it pertain to possible future situations. It just seems to me that it's not necessary. I would much rather see a resolution to compensate Nancy at the agreed upon rate per hour for, as a, consultant, which is, as far as I know, not, at odds with general municipal law. You know, I don't know, this lawyer that talks.
I don't disagree, Chris. I think this was a belt and suspenders piece of advice, from, the attorney at, Association of Towns. She made it plain to us that in any sort of emergent situation, there was no black letter law prohibiting what we were doing, that what we should make a resolution, and then point out in the resolution that there could be some sort of incompatibility, should there be. I didn't see where, Nancy just doing clerk work, but that, if she felt the need to abstain or refuse, she could do so. I agree with you, probably this was overkill to have a local law, but it was their advice.
Well, I understand that, but I also understand last time we took an attorney's advice, and we still have a problem with that. It just seems to me that, I understand your reference to belt and suspenders, Neil, but it seems to me that we're getting, it just doesn't have to be that complicated, and you yourself just kept saying resolution rather than local law.
Oh, no, we passed a resolution to do the hire that night. That should have been enough.
Resolution to propose a local law and send it to a public hearing. Yes?
We did that as well. We had to do a resolution to hire Nancy in that emergent, situation.
right.
I think that should have been enough. But this, it was a conference call between the supervisor, myself, and the town clerk. She was very thorough. She walked the razor's edge about council people. It had nothing to do with the fact that she was retired.
Right.
Whether any of those other people like it or not, we always in an area where a pool of experienced talent, specific experienced talent, is hard to find. Many people are brought back under per diem as consultants or whatever. That was not even in play. It was the fact.
It's not in play. In play is the fact that she's also a council person.
Council person doing.
And we know already, because this happened before, 2 years ago, we know already that we can pay Nancy as a consultant. That's just fine and dandy.
But at the time, when we did that, I don't believe she was a councilwoman. Wasn't that the difference?
No, she was. It was her first.
Oh, okay. Well, then
I'm
I
just-
don't know what the difference was. We called in order to get good advice as to whether what we thought would have to be the emergency fix here was doable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, I may say that this could be belt and suspenders. I also don't think that there was any impropriety in the local law.
No, I'm not saying that there is. I'm just saying that I have my doubts that,
That it was
I
necessary.
guess I'm just gonna leave it there, you know, let's vote on it.
Okay, Randy, do you have anything?
No, not on a local law. Are you gonna vote on that?
So we're in the middle of
Local law adopted to propose by Neil McGovern.
Right.
And second for
Seconded.
Chris to bring it out for discussion, so is everybody in agreement, I guess?
So is everybody in agreement then to pass this local law?
call the vote.
Call, okay, please say aye. Nancy?
Aye.
Nancy?
I think I'll abstain again.
Yeah.
Okay, aye.
Okay.
Did you say nay, Christine?
Chris,
Okay.
you opposed.
Okay, so we have one opposed, okay. So 3 ayes and 1 opposed. Okay, so then that's it? You abstained, right?
Nancy did.
No, Don abstained.
No, I didn't abstain, Nancy abstained.
Yeah, Nancy
I'm
abstained.
sorry. Boy, I'm getting confused here and we're at the end. Okay,
It's been a long time.
yeah, it really has. Okay, so anybody else, everybody's done round table but Randy?
And of course I have something.
Go ahead.
What do we want to do with the tennis courts? Two items that have come up. Last year we discussed, safety-wise, reconditioning the Elm Lake, tennis courts before we opened them up, and we decided in the budgets was nowhere gonna happen, to resurface those because it was astronomically priced, so that the money is not there to do anything with it. We did start a fund for it, minor as it may be. We discussed at one point in time whether or not we were going to open the Elm Lake tennis courts. Do we want to bring that back to the table before the season starts?
Can I ask a question on your question? I'm not hip to, I know exactly what the rules are for golf and several things. I'm not aware where we are on guidelines on tennis in general currently. I
Well,
know basketball courts are closed.
right, no,
I don't know.
far as I know, that being, I'm going at a safety aspect. We have all the tennis courts closed till further notice.
Okay, they are part of that, sorry.
Yeah, but for the COVID situation.
Yeah.
Now, my situation is when the Cannonball finally fires here, are we going to open that, because of the blacktop being cracked and unlevel and so on and so forth?
I thought we'd all decided that we would not open that this year.
I don't know if it was ever decided. I know we discussed it, but I don't know if it was decided last
I
year.
had to look back
We
my
didn't
minutes.
put any money in the budget to fix what
No.
was wrong with it, so.
No,
No, because you said it would take 50,000 to do that one tennis
Yeah.
court.
just the one tennis court was over 50,000.
The other one needs painting and striping, right, Randy?
Correct. Well, that was what was suggested, but we didn't put money in it for that either. So, because that alone was like $30,000.
Just to stripe it and paint it?
Yes.
So the ones in the courthouse, when and if the guidelines are lifted, they're in okay shape, right? The ones at the courthouse,
Correct.
did that some years back. I think that, particularly if you think that they're at all unsafe, I would say, I don't know, I remember it being discussed before I was voted back on the board at meetings that Chris referred to. I don't think if they're at all unsafe, I don't think it's worth opening them until we can fund it.
Not that one on Elm Lake
No.
Road. I would not feel comfortable opening that.
Okay, I agree there.
And about the COVID thing, I mean, when you're playing tennis, you're not on top of each other. Isn't that kind of like social distancing when you're playing tennis?
Certainly would seem so, but there's an awful lot of arbitrary rules.
I think touching the ball. Handling the ball.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
The ball, the handles at the gate,
Yeah.
With 3 people sitting around waiting for the next team.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a million things, and yeah.
Well, people are
just
playing
sure
up there.
Put the nets up, but I don't think it's what the governor is proposing at this point.
I mean, people are playing up at Lake Pleasant already.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
How are they doing that with no nets?
There, I saw people up there, I mean, I was driving by and I saw people playing whatever paddle or pickleball or whatever they were playing. But there was people hitting a ball of some sort back and forth.
Oh, okay. Well, unless someone came in and took the nets and put them up.
Well, maybe they're making believe.
Would you feel happier about having a vote on closing those for the season?
I
I
think we
would,
should.
because
Okay.
I'm sure there's going to be some lovely press
Are
about
you
it.
guys closing all of them?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking then for a motion to close the Elm Lake tennis courts for the season, Randy?
Until maintenance is done on it, as far as
Okay,
budgeted and.
I think it's fair to say the season, you're not gonna get budgeted anytime before that.
No.
okay.
Randy, I got a question.
Sure.
Are they both bad or just the one?
The one is split right down the center where the ball drops per se.
Yeah.
And that's where the one that everybody's complaining about. I'm not sure about the other one. I think that one when we were there, even the corner is broken off on the one corner.
Yeah. Just a thought, you wanna take it up on committee? We do have a
Yeah,
recreation committee.
we can do that.
Well, let's wait till you guys
Okay,
have something to put into it, because I mean, this whole month, we can just, you know.
Yeah, they're closed. It's right. They're
Recreation
closed.
committee's gonna look it over.
So we can figure out what we're gonna do.
Do you
okay.
think maybe, we should, got it?
Say again,
We
John.
can decide that.
Yeah.
Sign on it, close, and a lock.
Well, it's-
What about the people that are playing pickleball down there?
Whether they're playing pickleball or tennis, it's still the same condition.
Right. Okay.
They- they- they-
But
they-
you need a net also?
Yeah, but they bring their own nets.
Well, they do.
Oh. So that's how they play. Okay, so we're not gonna make a motion on, we're not gonna make a motion on this. We're gonna leave it up to the Recreation Committee and come back at the next meeting.
I don't know
And,
if that's recreation or parks and rec or whatever, but it's, I think we need a committee to look at it rather.
okay, Don, you're volunteering?
Yes,
Okay,
I think I like both of those committees.
you are.
I was gonna say, Debbie, you have those list committees there?
Yes, I do, cause I'm right in my office, Randy. Lucky me.
I knew you'd love that, Debbie.
I just love the fact that I'm in my office. Recreation trails is Bronius and Laverne Way.
So that's you and me, Dad.
Yeah, just you two.
Okay.
That's the only
What
recreation.
you want me for?
Okay, so you guys can work on that. Our next meeting will be Monday, May 18th. Let's hope that we can maybe be back to normal. If not, we'll have to have another Zoom meeting. Just want to mention that the school board and the village elections are postponed until September 15th.
School board is, sooner than that, isn't it?
I looked it up online and I thought it said that it was Monday, May 18th. Well, you may be right, Don.
I think this.
September, I mean. September 15th.
September.
There was so much in the governor's order on that, the order he issued 2 days ago. I read that. I mean, it's incredible, all the stuff about the school board. If this happens, that happens. If the other thing goes that way, if you already did this, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the village elections are definitely postponed until September
September
15th.
So you
15th.
wanna just leave it at that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
We'll just leave it as the village election will be, postponed to September 15th, okay?
Okay. So everybody else has done, roundtable. I just have something I want to say. As a newly elected supervisor, I'm amazed at all the obstacles we have faced since January and are still facing. I would like to thank all our employees, the board members, the county board of supervisors, the county nursing the many volunteers that are out there helping the ambulance, fire department, sheriff's department, and all our residents. Everybody's really been a tremendous help and pulled together nicely. I have been in touch with a couple of our local businesses, just to see how it is going. There are concerns, but folks are pretty optimistic. I think we together will come through this. We are very fortunate to live in such a caring, strong, and great community. And going forward, please wear your masks, social distance, and wash your hands often, and stay safe. And that's it. So, anybody else have anything?
Can I just
Yes.
jump on with what you said before about pushing our leaders? I think maybe a letter coming from town or county should be appropriate for the protection of our businesses and definitely for the campsites. Betsy, is there been I'm sure there's been a lot of talk at county between all the other supervisors. Is there any groundswell about the campsites, about pushing to have them open sooner in at least our county?
You know, I know Bill's been working on it. There's been so much turmoil, you know, 1 minute they're thinking they can open and do every other campsite, but the concerns of the showers and the bathrooms, we have a meeting weekly, so I'm sure we'll be getting more updates as we go on.
Okay.
But at this time, there's nothing definite. Bill is constantly on this, trying to get things open for our area.
Understood. Thank you.
So is that it?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. How about a second?
I can go into the round table thing, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Don, you'll know the answer to this. I was reading law again and came across that annually each volunteer fire company is required to submit a list certified under oath to the municipality sponsoring the LoSAP service retirement rewards. And this list identifies all volunteers who earned at least 50 points during the preceding year. The board is required to review the list and approve the annual certification, at which time each volunteer on the list must be awarded 1 year of LoSAP service credit. Okay, I've been on the board 2 years, I don't remember this ever happening. So is this something that's just slipped through the cracks, or do you know the answer, Don?
I don't know the answer. Any office I've ever held has been a line officer and not in the executive office. So you would have to contact Andy Weaver. He's the president. He should be able to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, I just want to see that it doesn't keep slipping through the cracks,
Sure.
because it might affect people's entitlements.
Sure.
Hey,
That's when we should be getting a yearly list, absolutely.
I know every meeting, every person that participates in everything that qualifies for LoSAP points is recorded and posted monthly at the fire hall.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know it was recorded.
Yeah,
I
I
just
cannot say whether they have sent it to the town or not.
They should.
Okay, so I'll contact Andy Weaver and find out.
Contact Andy about that, Betsy? Or
Yes.
do you want to do it?
Yep, I'll do it. I'll contact him tomorrow. Okay, so we had a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Good night.